In this tutorial, I'm going to give you a quick and creative way to come up with an introduction for an accompaniment. If you are trying to find ways to make a creative introduction for an accompaniment that you're playing for, and maybe it doesn't have sheet music written out for you to read, watch this video and I'm going to give you some quick ways to make very creative introductions that are cohesive with the song that you're on. Now, for sake of illustration, we're going to take a hymn. It's pretty classic. His Eye is on the Sparrow. And I am in the key of D flat for this hymn. So that's just kind of reference for you as we talk through chords. When it comes to creating a fast and quick introduction that is also beautiful, I'm going to give you 2 steps. The first step is locating a motive in the song that you're already in. Sometimes when I talk to pianists and they say, I just struggle with the creativity, I don't know what to hear. Well, this is a way for, if you're struggling with creativity, to utilize the hymn to your advantage and come up with a motive that is cohesive to the hymn you're in. So when I look at His Eye is on the Sparrow, there might be a few places that I recognize as maybe motives of this song. They tell me what song I'm in. The first one is this pretty common opening phrase right there. And I'm really looking for maybe one measure to really base this entire process off of. Now, there might be a few other phrases that you find in this hymn that you really enjoy. There's another phrase in here that might be a nice one to use as a motive. So once you find one that you really think you can run with, the first step is finding that motive. The second step is taking chord progression patterns. So I'm going to list those progression patterns on the screen as I'm talking so that you can write these down. The first one, let's start with a really basic one. We're going to start with a chord progression pattern, which is going 1, the 1 chord, 4 chord, the 1 in its second inversion, and then back to the 4. So what's happening with this chord progression as I'm playing through this, I'm going to match up that motive with my chord progressions. So very simply put, it might sound something like this. And now we have our introduction, and your singer can come in. Now, if you notice there, I did the 1 to the 4, the 1, 6, 4, back to the 4. Another option to that is 1, 4, the 1 in first inversion, as opposed to second inversion, and back to the 4. They're going to give 2 different sounds. Song. So a quick way of taking that motive, and notice I'm playing it over and over again, twice through. Another motive that is pretty common in this one, and you might be really familiar with, you can call it your heart and soul motive, where we're going from the 1 minor 6, 4, 5, which many people are familiar with. So this one, if we were to let's take the same motive, this chord progression, listen to what this sounds like. Now notice, when I got to the end and I was going to that 5 chord, instead of hitting that F, I had to work my way down to a tone in that 5 chord. So I did. Now let's add on to that chord progression. And this time we're going to go from the 1 to the minor 6 to the 4, 1 in first inversion, 2, minor 2, and then the 5. Now with this one we're going to need to get a little creative. So you might find me playing around with that melody just a little bit to get a little more creative with the sound. we're going to look at is the 1 to the minor 6 and then to the 4, and we're going to hang on to the 4 for just a little bit longer. So we're actually going to kind of double that 4. So in essence, if you're looking at how it lines up, it would be a 1, minor 6, 4, 4. So this one just gives a little bit more of that longing in this hymn here. So we have... and it just gives this kind of open-endedness. We didn't change, we stayed on that 4. So a really beautiful pattern as well. For this last chord progression, I'm going to change the motive out just for sake of illustration, but this one also works with the other motive we've been doing. I'm going to go to the other one we mentioned at first. Okay, right there. And I'm going to take the chord progression minor 6. So we'll play our minor 6, the 1 in second inversion, then to the minor 2, and then to the 5. Now for this one, I'm actually going to start it off just a little bit different. I'm going to start off with a scale to lead into it. This is just something fun that you can try. And to lead into that scale, before we jump into that chord progression listed above, I'm going to go to a 4/5 chord, which is 4 chord in my right hand, 5 in the bass. And I'm going to play that scale. Into that, and we can again lengthen these. You can mix and match these, but find a motive, grab a chord progression, see what you come up with. It's a lot of fun, and it's a way to get creative really quickly. If this video has helped you, please like it, share it with others, and let us know. If you're looking for more resources as a church pianist, we have several available, including our hymn playing workbooks 1 and 2, which will help guide you in your hymn playing journey, as well as workbooks that deal with chord substitutions, key changes, and more. Check that out at newmerciesmusic.com.